Do you feel any added pressure because, you could have very well signed with the UFC and done your thing there, and, you're still a phenomenal fighter, still a top 3 guy in the division.
Mhm.
Or, now you make the switch to Bellator. Do you feel like there's pressure, or you need to prove to anyone, your fans, your coaches, your team, maybe Dana White in the UFC, that this was the right choice?
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, I want to go in there. I want to win the belt. I want to hold it throughout my entire contract, sign an even better one, But, for me, and you know how it is. Every fight you go in, it doesn't matter if you're fighting an unranked guy or the number 1 guy in the world. There's a ton of pressure that you put on yourself, going into that fight. So every fight is a ton of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if a title's on the line or nothing is on the line but a win.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I kind of approach everything. I'm just going in there, training my butt off. When I walk into the cage, I know that I've done everything I could possibly do to prepare myself, and let the chips fall where they may. That's all we can do in this sport. It's a crazy sport. Guys that are, you can go out there as a huge favorite and lose, and vice versa. So it's one of those things where I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to go out there and do my thing, and get that belt. But that's all I can do, really, go out there and fight.
True. I just feel like I had a meeting, I had lunch with Scott Coker yesterday, and I was talking about all these guys that he signed, and I feel like and this includes you, but Phil Davis, Ben Henderson, Rory McDonald, and you, it's that bunch. Chael Sonnen, he was a big name when he signed, but a little, his best days are behind. But you guys, you're in your prime, so for you to sign, it's kind of a little bit of the right direction where the sport needs to go. Because I think if guys can look at Phil, if guys can look at Roy, if guys can look at Ryan Bader and go, these guys did it, man, look how good they're doing. Because if you look at the other guys, they're like, nah, I'm just going to stay in UFC. It's too scary. Because you know how it is. It's scary, man. When you're, man, should I go to Bellator? Should I sign with UFC? It's one of the toughest decisions in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to go in there, and I want to do well, and I want to, in this card, I want to have a ton of eyeballs and viewership, and put Bellator and do my part in putting Bellator in the right direction of gaining ground for sure, and I think that's happening. That's one of the things I said to Scott and those guys when I was signing with them. I was like, look, I'm not coming over. I know you have some guys coming over that are fighting out their last couple fights, getting a paycheck and kind of moving on, but I'm coming over here to be competitive. I'm better now than I ever was in the UFC. I'm coming over to win your belt and to keep that belt for however long. And and on this card, you got, legit guys, on this card from, Michael Chandler, me, you have other,
Larkin,
you have other UFC
Lima,
guys, Larkin on there, it's just, and so coming over here, we want to do well. I want to represent myself, and I want to represent Bellator. I want to get viewership. I want to do it all. So, I think this is a good push for Bellator right here with this big card, and it's not one of those cards where there's like, it's the Veterans League or the Has-Beens League. You have legit contenders, so.
In your negotiations with Bellator and Scott, and you don't have to get too detailed, but I was talking to Lorenz Larkin on the show, and he goes, man, it was really easy. We were going back and forth between Bellator and the UFC, and I was at the airport cornering a buddy, and Scott Coker's number showed up on my phone. He goes, hey, man, what do we got to do to get it done? And Lorenz goes, this is the number. And he goes, all right, well, if I give you that number, there's no going back and forth. You got to commit to it. And he goes, if you give me what I'm asking for, guaranteed I'm signing with you guys. Was it that easy for you, or was it more your team handled it?
I have a good team, and I have my manager, Dave Martin. He has a bunch of UFC guys and a bunch of Bellator guys, so he knows the process. And so we kind of came in with what we wanted, and not just of this is the number we want. It was more than that. It was guaranteed fight. It was this and that. Little stuff also on top of this is where we need to be. Little bonuses and stuff like that. So we were fortunate enough to kind of know the ins and outs a little bit.
Good for
you. So we were able to go in there and knowing what we would want. And it didn't take too long. I think it took maybe a week and a half of us kind of, either brainstorming, conceding here and there, or just kind of, talking through it. And so coming off the UFC of that last fight, and trying to get that release and negotiate. We were really just looking at one organization, which was Bellator, and so we knew what we wanted. And I would say it was pretty easy and pretty straightforward. There wasn't a lot of back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Was the UFC? Did you even consider them? Did they even come to the table with a legit offer compared to this Bellator one, or did you just want to move on?
Yeah, I kind of want to move on. And the Bellator offer was too good, and we knew what we were asking for. We knew UFC would be out of the running.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a big flat fee, per fight, a big purse. And then UFC always will give you that show and win bonus, know, and so they couldn't really touch it, and so we kind of knew right away when we said we were going to fight it out that we were pretty much going to go to Bellator.
I'm proud of you, man. You deserve it.